Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine being right there at the absolute heart of Silicon Valley during its most explosive growth, co-founding Facebook.
Yeah, a company that just reshaped everything. Human connection, wealth, you name it.
Exactly. Now, what kind of person walks away from that? Right at the pinnacle, age just 24.
And then goes on to build this, huge personal fortune. What is it, $17.4 billion?
Yes, $17.4 billion, and then pledges most of it away to charity.
It's kind of mind-bending when you lay it out like that.
Totally. So today, we're not diving into the story of the founder who's always in the headlines.
Yeah.
We're looking at the quiet architect, the roommate who took a really different path. This is our deep dive into Dustin Moskovitz.
It's such an extraordinary journey, isn't it? I mean, you've got this co-founder of Facebook ranked 125th richest person globally by Forbes as of May 2025.
With that staggering $17.4 billion net worth.
Right. But then back in 2008, he makes this choice that just, it shocked a lot of people. Seen as reckless even, leaving Facebook.
Unthinkable for most, yeah.
Then he builds a whole new company, Asana, becomes one of the youngest billionaires ever to sign the Giving Pledge.
Which is that public promise to give away most of your wealth.
Exactly. So it really makes you ask, what path did Dustin Moskovitz actually choose?
And maybe more importantly for you, our listener, what can his kind of unconventional journey teach us about how we define success or money or power?
Or even just playing the long game in this world that's just full of noise all the time.
Exactly. And look, you might be feeling overwhelmed by just the sheer amount of information out there. You're looking for those aha moments, right? The things that cut through.
Yeah, real insights.
So our mission here in this deep dive is to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge from all the sources we've looked at on Moskovitz.
We'll get into his unique financial mindset, those really bold career moves.
Yeah, the ones that defied convention. And the sort of silent habits behind his success, plus this life philosophy that's just relentlessly focused on impact.
And we'll also look at how he uses influence so differently in Silicon Valley and his pretty remarkable way of handling crises.
So get ready to maybe rethink some basic assumptions, because this story, it's full of unexpected turns that might just, change your own playbook.
Definitely worth digging into.
Okay, so let's start right at the beginning. Even before Facebook was, Facebook, the global giant.
Back at Harvard.
Yeah, back at Harvard. When Dustin Moskovitz first got there studying economics, our sources suggest his view on money wasn't about luxury cars or fancy houses.
No, it was more academic almost.
Yeah.
Like a curiosity about systems.
Exactly. Most people see wealth as the goal, right?
Yeah.
The trophy. But for him, it sounds like it was always a tool, a kind of leverage to build structures.
Structures that could scale, that could go beyond just one person or one moment in time.
Which is just a fundamentally different starting point, isn't it?
It absolutely is. I mean, you combine that economics background with his sort of natural engineering brain. He saw the world in terms of efficiency, scalable solutions. So when he joined Zuckerberg in that dorm room back in 2004 building the Facebook, he wasn't really focused on the spotlight or being cool.
He was Facebook's first VP of engineering, wasn't he?
That's right. And his main worry was making sure the platform didn't just collapse under the weight of all these new users. Thousands, then tens of thousands every single day.
Keeping the lights on, basically.
Pretty much. He was the guy focused on optimizing databases, figuring out the server architecture, making sure updates actually happened in real time. For him, money was tied to building that, maintaining it, scaling the infrastructure for its potential impact.
Not about getting his name in the papers.
Exactly. Not headlines, not personal glory. It really makes you think, doesn't it? How does your first understanding of a resource like money shape how you end up using it?
And it certainly paid off for him, financially speaking. Fast forward to May 2025, Forbes pegs his net worth at that $17.4 billion, 125th richest person.
But then there's that paradox you mentioned right at the start.
Yeah. He's a multi-billionaire, but he and his wife, Carrie Tuna, made this incredible decision.
The Giving Pledge.
Right. Pledging to give the majority of it away through their foundation, Good Ventures. So it wasn't just about stacking it up. It was about strategically giving it out. Can you explain a bit more what the Giving Pledge actually is?
Sure. So the Giving Pledge, started by Warren Buffett and Bill Gates, it's essentially a moral commitment. It's not legally binding, but it's a public promise from the world's wealthiest people to give away the majority of their fortune.
Either while they're alive or in their wills.
Exactly. And what makes Moskovitz and Tuna stand out is just how young they were when they signed. among the very youngest.
So this wasn't like a retirement plan decision.
Not at all. It was foundational, something they adopted right near the start of their wealth journey. And that perspective really sets him apart. Lots of people in Silicon Valley built empires to boost their own influence.
Right.
Moskovitz seemed to treat money more like a neutral force, something that could amplify selfishness, sure, but also, as he showed, create huge systemic change.
He said something about impact mattering more than recognition, right?
He did. And that's profound, I think. If you only see money as a personal prize, you're always chasing it. But if you see it as leverage,
then you look for ways to multiply its value beyond just yourself.
exactly, towards real, meaningful change.
That's a powerful distinction. And it feels, I don't know, almost countercultural today.
Okay, let's pivot to his career strategy.
Yeah.
Because this is like a masterclass in doing things differently.
Absolutely.
When Facebook just exploded in the mid-2000s, everyone, Wall Street included, just assumed Dustin would ride that rocket ship forever.
Why wouldn't you? By 2008, Facebook's valuation was already, over $15 billion?
Yeah. So walking away seemed unthinkable, especially for a 24-year-old co-founder with significant shares. What was he thinking?
Well, this is such a crucial point for understanding his kind of long game thinking. He's 24, he leaves this exec role at Facebook. But it wasn't impulsive.
It was strategic.
It seems so. While he was at Facebook, he apparently saw this persistent problem. As the company got bigger, just communicating internally, coordinating things, got harder and harder, it slowed things down. A productivity killer.
Exactly. And he realized, hey, this isn't just a Facebook problem. This is fundamental for any fast-growing company.
Okay.
So he co-founds Asana with Justin Rosenstein, focusing specifically on workplace software to streamline how teams collaborate and manage tasks.
Right, Asana. Lots of people use it.
Yeah. But to outsiders back then, it must have looked like a huge step down, leaving this global empire for, like, a niche productivity tool.
But for him?
For Dustin, it was about tackling a core, systemic problem he really understood from the inside. Asana was basically an attempt to engineer better organizational systems, kind of a natural follow-on from his early focus at Facebook.
And that patience, it really paid off, didn't it? Even with all the market craziness.
It did, eventually. Asana went public in September 2020, hit this massive market cap, nearly $30 billion at its peak in 2021.
Wow. But then came the crash.
Right, the 2022-2023 tech downturn. Like a lot of tech stocks, its value just plummeted, lost more than 80% from its highs.
And we saw other founders kind of panic, right? Cut corners, bail out.
But Dustin stayed the course. He didn't jump ship. And we're to sustain that.
Yeah, what kept him going?
I think it goes back to that deep systems thinking, that long-term vision. He understood market swings are often temporary noise. The fundamental problems Asana was trying to solve, they were still there.
So he focused on the core mission.
Yeah, and adapted. By 2025, Asana started repositioning itself, leaning heavily into AI. Integrating AI tools to automate tasks, suggest next steps, route information smartly.
Like an AI that figures out the best person for a job automatically.
Exactly. Or spots bottlenecks before they happen, that kind of thing. This pivot, using AI for deeper collaboration, it rebuilt investor confidence and really cemented its relevance again.
And then he stepped down as CEO.
Yeah, in March 2025, announced he was moving to executive chair. But again, this wasn't him retreating. It was about focusing his energy where he thought he could add most value.
Guiding product direction, especially with AI,
Yeah.
and scaling up his philanthropy.
Right, so it makes you ask yourself, are you willing to step back from a role, even a top one, if it serves a bigger, longer-term vision you believe in?
The pattern is so clear when you lay it out like that. His strategy was never just about clinging to titles or chasing the stock price itself.
No, it was always build, step back, redirect energy towards the most impactful long-term stuff.
While most see a career as climbing one ladder, he treated it more like a series of strategic exits and entries, always aligned with that deeper vision.
It's a quiet lesson, but really profound. True wealth, maybe true success, isn't just built by holding on tight. It's also about knowing when to let go and re-engage somewhere else.
Okay, shifting gears slightly. Let's talk about the habits that shape his success. Because they're really not what you'd expect from a Silicon Valley billionaire.
Definitely not the stereotypical image.
While you see others flaunting, the mansions, the yachts, chasing social media clout, Dustin Moskovitz became known for something really unusual in that world.
His silence, his intentional invisibility.
Exactly. No big public persona, no hunger for the spotlight. While Zuckerberg's testifying before Congress and Musk is tweeting constantly, Moskovitz is practically invisible, actively avoiding it.
And what's fascinating is how deliberate that seems to be and how it enables his approach to work, what people call deep work.
Uninterrupted concentration.
Right. Colleagues describe him as super disciplined, focusing for long stretches, not getting constantly pulled away by emails or meetings or whatever.
So his daily schedule would have big blocks of time for just thinking, studying.
Yeah, sources suggest things like reading philosophy, analyzing complex AI research papers, working closely with his product teams at Asana. Even after becoming a billionaire, his routine leaned towards simplicity.
Minimize meetings, avoid social media.
Reserve energy for the problems he actually cared about solving. This quietness, it isn't just like his personality. It's a discipline he actively cultivates to stay clear-headed.
And you see it even in his philanthropy, which we touched on,
Yeah.
with his wife, Carrie Tuna, running good ventures.
Right. Unlike billionaires plastering their names on buildings.
Their giving is often anonymous, always data-driven, based on what they call effective altruism. Can you just quickly define that for us?
Sure. Effective altruism, it's basically a philosophy and a movement that tries to use evidence and reason to figure out the most effective ways to do good in the world.
Not just doing good, but doing the most good possible with the resources you have.
Exactly. It asks, how can we get the biggest impact? And then rigorously tests and evaluates different approaches. So for Moskovitz and Tuna, it's not just about giving money away. It's about giving it away in the smartest possible way.
And Carrie Tuna was recognized for that, right, on the Time 100 philanthropy list in 2025.
She was. And notably, not for grand gestures or self-promotion, but precisely because of the measurable, data-backed impact of their work. They're literally changing how philanthropy itself gets measured.
So if we pull this together, a friend described Dustin as someone who doesn't chase applause, but chases clarity.
That's a great way to put it.
And that relentless chase for clarity lets him stay remarkably calm during crises, like that huge Asana stock crash, while others might panic.
He didn't sell off, didn't walk away. He doubled down on the long-term plan.
So his unique habit isn't really about productivity hacks in the usual sense. It's about embracing invisibility as a strategic asset.
Yeah, what you call the silent billionaire mindset.
Yeah.
The idea that success doesn't have to be loud to be powerful.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How much noise in your own life might be getting in the way of that kind of clarity?
It's a challenging thought.
Yeah. That sometimes being quieter actually makes you stronger, more impactful.
Yeah.
Okay, let's dive into his philosophy of life and decision-making, because this feels like maybe the most defining part of his whole story.
I think you're right. It underpins everything else.
So back in 2011, just 3 years after leaving Facebook, he and Carrie Tuna founded Good Ventures, and their mission was incredibly bold.
To give away the majority of their wealth during their lifetimes.
Right. They weren't waiting until they were old to start distributing this massive fortune.
And that decision, as we said, put them among the youngest signatories of the Giving Pledge. Most people signing it were, established figures, 50 plus. They were in their 20s.
So it wasn't just about charity. It was like a fundamental statement about how they define success itself.
Absolutely. Their whole decision-making philosophy seems to revolve around one core principle. Impact matters more than credit, more than personal recognition.
And that's why they partnered so closely with the Open Philanthropy Project.
Exactly. That partnership let them channel billions into some of the world's biggest and often most neglected problems.
Things like global health, malaria eradication, getting ready for pandemics.
Criminal justice reform,
Yeah.
and crucially, the safe development and governance of AI. Really complex, long-term issues.
And this thinking also shaped his business decisions, didn't it?
Clearly. He didn't cling to Facebook, even with his insane riches, because he saw a different way to have personal impact.
He didn't cling to the Asana CEO title when he felt the company needed different leadership for the next phase, and he could contribute more strategically elsewhere.
His choices seemed consistently guided not by ego, not by conventional measures of power, but by the long-term ripple effects he wanted to create.
And this philosophy, it's had real, tangible consequences.
Oh, definitely. By 2025, as these global debates about AI safety and ethics were really heating up, the early and significant funding from Moskovitz and Tuna became critical.
They were ahead of the curve.
Way ahead. They weren't just donating money. They were proactively helping shape the research, the frameworks that might genuinely determine humanity's future with AI. They empowered researchers, funded think tanks, supported organizations looking at the ethical side years before it became a mainstream panic.
It raises a really fascinating question for you listening. If you had that kind of power, the power to shape the future, would you prioritize getting your name out there, public praise?
Or would you focus on that deep, long-term impact that might not even carry your name? The hidden wisdom there is it's profound. When your life is defined by long-term impact, not short-term kudos.
Your decisions get clearer, even if they look weird to everyone else.
Exactly. Even when they defy conventional logic.
Okay, moving on to how he thinks about power and social influence. Because again, it's like the complete opposite of the standard Silicon Valley playbook.
Totally inverted.
When people think power there, they probably picture Mark Zuckerberg influencing politics through Facebook's algorithms.
Or Elon Musk moving markets, shifting public opinion with just one tweet.
Right. And by that definition, Dustin Moskovitz looks almost powerless. He's rarely in the media, actively stays out of political fights, avoids the public stage entirely.
But that's completely misreading his strategy, isn't it?
Yeah, tell us about that.
This is where his thinking about power is just radically different. And you could argue maybe more enduring. Instead of fighting for the spotlight, he built influence where very few people were even looking.
Through good ventures and open philanthropy.
Exactly. He and Karatuna directed billions to causes that quietly shape what's coming next. Think about their early investments in pandemic preparedness infrastructure, years before COVID hit.
Wow, okay.
Or their steady funding for criminal justice reform, focusing on data-driven systemic change, not flashy PR campaigns.
And, as we mentioned, that pioneering support for AI safety research, spotting risks and potential solutions way before the tech-dominated headlines.
So by 2025, their funding streams made them some of the most important, yet still understated players in the global conversation about AI governance. They were funding the research that informs policymakers all over the world.
That's what you call the invisible leverage effect, right?
Yeah. They don't try to own the conversation, they try to fund the solutions.
It's amazing how effective that quiet approach has been. Well, Zuckerberg, maybe, tries to control the world's attention.
Moskovitz seeks to guide the world's trajectory.
And Karatuna getting on that Time 100 list in 2025 really highlighted how powerful this had become, not because their names were on stadiums,
but because their giving was changing how philanthropy itself was measured, demanding rigorous proof of impact.
They showed that lasting influence doesn't need public adoration. It needs building and funding systems that outlive you.
And maybe that's the clearest paradox of his whole journey. By actively rejecting the visible types of power, the fame, the political fights, the public stage,
he ended up creating a kind of influence that might actually be more fundamental, more enduring in the long run.
It really pushes us to think, are you trying to grab the microphone, or are you trying to direct resources towards the future you actually want to build?
The subtle lesson being, real power isn't always about owning the mic. Sometimes it's about directing the flow.
Precisely. Directing the flow towards the future you want.
Okay, finally, let's look at his crisis strategy and how he plays the long game. Because this is where his counterintuitive choices really shine.
Yeah, this ties it all together.
When Dustin Moskovitz walked away from Facebook in 2008, people whispered, right, that he'd thrown away the golden ticket, the opportunity of a lifetime, gone.
But looking back, that mistake actually shielded him from a decade of just intense public pressure and huge existential challenges that Facebook faced.
Cambridge Analytica, the endless political hearings.
The sheer weight of running the world's biggest, most controversial social network. By getting out early, he avoided getting chained to that machine, which consumed so much energy for his peers.
But his resilience, his long game thinking, it got tested again, didn't it? Even more directly at Asana.
Oh, absolutely. After that massive IPO in 2020, market cap hitting nearly $30 billion in 21. Then the crash.
The brutal tech downturn of 2022-23, stock loses over 80% of its value.
Many startups just folded under that kind of pressure. Founders panicked, sold off their stakes.
Yet Asana survived and thrived eventually, thanks largely to Dustin's unwavering long-term view and maybe his understanding of market cycles.
It seems so. Instead of cutting corners or ditching the vision, he doubled down on transforming the company. He didn't just wait for things to get better, he strategically guided Asana through it.
And by 2025, Asana hadn't just repositioned itself with AI.
Right, aligning with the biggest tech wave of the decade.
But it had also innovated with specific new features like that AI workflow builder for non-tech users to automate stuff, or intelligent search, finding info across the whole organization.
Tangible innovations.
Huh.
And those slowly brought investors back. Asana's role in the future of work felt relevant again.
And then March 2025, he makes another one of those classic Moskovitz moves. Steps down as CEO, moves to executive chair.
Once again, showing that stepping back isn't weakness in his playbook, it's a strategic maneuver.
He wanted the right leadership for the company's next chapter.
While allowing him to focus on shaping the big picture product direction, especially AI, and ramping up his philanthropic work in really critical areas like AI safety.
It makes you think, when you face a crisis, do you grip your position tighter? Or do you step back strategically to redirect energy and focus on what truly matters for the long haul?
It's a tough call.
Yeah. The lesson here feels subtle, but so powerful. Dustin plays what we could call the exit to expand strategy.
I like that.
He leaves the stage when others would cling on for dear life. Not because he lacks ambition, but because he knows the real long game isn't about holding positions.
It's about directing momentum, making sure the systems he cares about actually thrive.
And that's the paradox defining his whole journey, isn't it? Every time he walked away from what looked like the winning hand.
He was actually setting himself up for a bigger, more impactful game later on.
So wrapping this up, what does it all mean? Dustin Moskovitz's story, it's not really about chasing glory, is it? It feels more like a masterclass in choosing clarity over all the noise. Yeah.
At every major turning point, he made choices that, frankly, most of us would find terrifying.
Leaving Facebook as it's heading for world domination. Standing firm with Asana when its stock completely cratered.
Openly pledging to give away billions when common sense says hoard every penny.
Yet these choices, the ones that looked reckless, they're exactly why he holds a $17.4 billion net worth today, and maybe even more valuable.
A reputation for integrity, for visionary impact, something money just can't buy.
Indeed. His definition of wealth clearly goes way beyond just piling up cash. It's deeply about leverage, systemic impact, and a profound sense of responsibility.
That's the paradox right at the heart of it all. Every time he seemed to step away from power or personal gain.
He found a deeper, more lasting kind of influence.
Not the flashy influence of headlines or political fights, but that subtle, massive power of shaping global systems, funding critical future work, quietly guiding the arc of human progress.
You see it in his decisions funding AI safety early, pushing for data-driven criminal justice reform. It demonstrates that beautifully, undeniably.
And so, the lesson from Dustin Moskovitz isn't just about cash or business tactics. It's really about how you listening define winning in your own life.
Yeah. If winning just means clinging on, optimizing for yourself, getting recognized right now, then Moskovitz is definitely an outlier.
But if winning means having the courage to let go sometimes, to walk away from the crowd, trust your own long-term vision, and invest in something much bigger than yourself,
then maybe his path is the clearest roadmap you could find. He didn't just build a fortune, he built a philosophy. Sometimes the bravest, smartest move you can make is to step aside so the future you envision can actually step forward.
That really leads to a crucial question for you, our listener. If you had that golden ticket, billions in your hand, would you cling to it for dear life, protect it no matter what?
Or would you dare to walk away like Dustin Moskovitz did to chase a different vision, maybe a more impactful one?
Was leaving Facebook a huge mistake? Or looking back now, was it actually a masterstroke of vision that created far more value in the long run?
I genuinely love to hear what you think about that, because how you answer probably says as much about your own philosophy of success and impact as it does about his.
Definitely food for thought.
So if this deep dive gave you something powerful to chew on, something that challenges your own assumptions, let it sit with you. Maybe share your perspective with us.
Because ultimately, the most powerful secrets of the rich, they're rarely just in the bank balance.
They're in the defining choices.